losing $1,154 for the month of June 2024. Everything is closed out. We are back. We are here for the recap. This is one that I think is going to be worth your while. It might be a bit longer than usual, but it will be, I think, quite useful and hopefully very useful from a mental side of this. I have some really good insights. I took a second to reflect upon this a few minutes ago, put down a couple things I want to touch on, and let's get into it. So I'm going to move myself away for a second so you can see the whole thing. So here's the total number we lost. We took 55 trades for the month of June. We're going to get into it in a second. Our average expectancy was essentially losing $21 per trade and a profit factor of 0.61, which is not profitable. Above a 1 is profitable. A win rate of 32.73%. Pretty bad, right? You'd think. And an average win-loss of 1.26. So despite this, we were actually still able to maintain an average win-loss that was higher than, 1, which is good, but it obviously was better. Let's compare this to the month of May. Let's go back. Let's pull up May 1 through 31st of 2024. I'll pop back off the screen. You'll see we made just under $1,600. We had a profit factor of 4.59, very good. A win rate of 66, essentially winning 2/3 of our trades. And we took 24 trades. And we had an average win-loss of 2.29. Holy shit, that's really good. That was May. So I just wanted to start by showing what a good month was and then what a bad month was. Was this actually that bad of a month? I don't actually think so, as I take a step back. And here's why. I do want to preface this with, if you were to go back to Thursday, this is Thursday, June 6th, we had a day where we lost about $400. There was a trade that I took on a crypto. If you were to go back to the recap from this day on OMG USD, like it's so stupid, but there was a bear flag trade that I traded on that crypto on both accounts. I had it on a $25K and a $6,000 prop firm account that they charged me, I believe, $7 per lot. And because the crypto was 30 something cents, my lot size was substantial enough to the point where I ended up paying over $300 in fees on the trade. And then I lost like $90 on the actual trade. So across both accounts. So this does kind of skew it because my actual trade should have lost $90, but I was not aware of the fees. Now, should I have been aware of the fees? Yes, I probably should have. You could also make the argument that that shouldn't have even been available. Why would it be available? Yada, yada, yada. I don't know. I asked them. I tried to fight it a little bit. They're like, sorry, dude, we don't give a fuck. Essentially, they don't give a fuck. This will be something for a different topic another day, but I do want to touch on the prop firms as well. And I'm going to get to that in just a second, because there's some things that happened there that I think not threw this month off dramatically, but across a large sample size can impact you. And we'll get into that in a second. So not that I'm saying, these numbers were counted. I could have said, well, no, technically only lost $9 trading, but that wouldn't be truthful to where my balances would be. So it would be like, well, why is his balances lower than that? So that's the reality. In terms of trading profits and losses, you technically could say, well, it was actually, more like, a loss of $850 on the month versus over $1,100. In theory, you could say that. Not in theory, realistically from a trading perspective, had I not made that mistake with the fees. And I won't ever do that again, I think. We'll see. But I'll be more aware of that. So you could probably assume or think, okay, well, 55 trades is like more than double what he took the month prior. What's up with that? That was definitely because I overtraded 100%. I took way too many trades. I forced some trades and I overtraded to a degree. Do I necessarily regret that? I guess I do, but that's also kind of part of what this game is. The way that I've figured out in from me, myself, the way that I lose when I lose big, if you want to say that, is I will trade a shit ton of times and have my stops all get hit for small losses across a massive amount of trades. That's how I have a day where I lose $700. This day right here was June 20th. That was the day that everything completely unraveled, and there was really no coming back from that day. And we'll get into what happened prior to that day and all that stuff. This is a day where some swing trades were closed out, some trades were copied onto accounts, so it's not really like there's 14 trades here, but there was too many trades at a minimum. Doesn't matter. Okay, so we talked about the number of trades. What about the win rate? Is this good? No. I mean, obviously 32% is not going to do it, but is that something that I can necessarily avoid? As I look back, there was a couple of trades I probably could have avoided taking that did lose. There was one that I could have avoided taking that did win. So, there's a little bit back and forth. But ultimately, a 32% win rate month isn't the end of the world. It's not. That could happen at any time. And I could totally be fine with that. Because realistically, if I manage my risk correctly, and you subtract the $300 of fees that weren't really part of trading, that was just excessive fees, all the other trades have some swap fees built in and some minor fees built in. So the $300 was a big number. It's not like, I do have fees that do come out, and these numbers are adjusted after that. It's not like there are no fees at all, and I've never dealt with fees and I'm all going. No, that is a component to trading, and depending upon what assets you trade and where you trade, you're going to have to deal with fees. I understand. If you're in different countries, it's going to be worse or better. It depends on where you live. But this is not that bad. Average win-loss of 1.26. I will say this number I think is generally lower than what it probably could have been, just because of the lack of winners. If I had more winners, I think we would have just simply had more bigger winners that would have moved this needle up a little bit higher. So that's not that bad. It's low, definitely not as high as I want it to be, but it's not the end of the world. So you can do the math on a 1.26. That's not terrible. Go back to the month prior and you can see how you can make it back. So if you're going off of this and you look at these numbers and oh man, these numbers suck. I think I want to remind you that this just so happens to be a snapshot into some arbitrary dates. It just so happens to be a snapshot from June 1st to June 30th. You can pull a snapshot up from any time, and you can pull up any win rate. You can pull up any numbers, good or bad. It's more about the total body of work. One thing that I will say I'm happy with is, despite the $300 in stupid fees, I did not give back all of the money that I made in May in June. So I'm happy, at least with a terrible month, I felt, performance-wise and just market-wise, which is the next piece, I did not give it all back. I get into the market piece because this market that we had or experienced in the month of June was completely different, at least from what I was seeing, to what we had during the month of May. There were some live streams. We took some live trades, and you can go back and watch some of those live streams. They're all up on the channel. All the recaps are up on the channel. You can see them all. And there were some trades that worked really good in May. The setup just didn't work in June. And it's not like I feel like I need to change anything at all. I do not. I think I need to be a little bit more selective instead of taking 37 trades, or 55 trades actually, to be exact. That's really all it is. The change is not about, I need to change my strategy because my strategy sucks. I don't believe that that's the case at all. I can go back the past 16 months and see the strategy, right? It's not the problem. The problem was that I took too many trades. Backing our way into that, what I do want to get into now is a little bit more of the nitty-gritty. And then I want to get into the report tab. So the report tab is where we're going to dive deeper into. And we're going to come to this in a little bit, and we're going to dive into that. I'm going to talk about the setups, the mistakes, and then the time frames that I did better on. The daily time frames versus the 5-minute time frames, swing trades versus day trades, which ones were best, and the individual tickers or assets that I traded, the symbols that I traded, so you can see where I was making money, where I was losing money. I'm going to get to that in just one second, but I want to talk about this first. I passed on, in the first half of June, I passed phase 1, which was this right here, in this Arctic Funding $10,000 account. So I had to make $1,000 in this account before I lost like 1,000 or whatever the number was. I forget what the drawdown was. And then I passed phase 1. Right now I am in step 2. And so they reset me back down to $10,000 on a new account. And they said, okay, you got to make 600 before you lose 1,000. And I can't lose more than 400 a day. Shouldn't be a problem. I'm currently more than halfway there to that target. And then I would get funded if I get there. Now, when it comes to this, I passed this in mid-June. Okay? There is a mental component here to this. Here's, by the way, the one-of-one account that I'm currently in. I have a $25,000 account that was up a lot more, but this is now only $340 in the profit for this account. The $6,000 one-of-one account is in drawdown, down to about $539. This account was purchased to test a trade copier, which worked good, and then they changed brokers, and we had this problem and that problem, and the copier was not working, and then so we had a lot of problems, but it was really a test account that I haven't traded. I traded last week on it maybe once or twice, but I have not really traded very much on it since. It's pretty close to the drawdown. I might lose it. I might not. We'll see what happens. But just for transparency purposes, that's the deal there. This one's currently still in some profit. That one's in drawdown. The Arctic Funding account, like I said, we passed phase 1. We're currently on step 2, and we are more than halfway to the target on step 2. We're actually 61% of the way there. It's a matter of, quite honestly, 2 trades in a row hitting, and then I'm there. You know what I mean? But will I get 2 in a row? Maybe, maybe not. As you can see, or if you want to dive into this month, you can probably see that there was a period of time in the month of June that we went on a pretty massive losing streak. You know, bunch in a row here, bunch here. A lot more losses than not. It's gotten a little bit better, but either way, that's kind of the situation. So, back to this. I do think that passing phase 1 was a negative catalyst or component to this month. Why? Because when I passed phase 1, and then I had a win or two, I was like, oh shit, we're really close to passing phase 2 and getting funded. That would be really nice. Not to mention, at the exact same time, earlier this month, I was also past the phase 1 requirements on the one-of-one account, meaning my account balance, my equity, was over $27,000. I just didn't close the positions because they didn't hit my targets. And I said I could sell them all right now and lock the gains and reset and start phase 2, or I could just let it play out. And I let it play out. Part of that is good and bad. I look at that saying, well, let's say I did close out of positions early just because of a dollar number on the screen to pass phase 1. Had I then gone into the next couple of days or weeks of trading that I did have, I would now be in massive drawdown phase 2 at risk of losing my account, which I'm not really at risk of. I'd have to lose a lot of money to lose my account. So it's almost like a blessing in disguise. You can look at it that way. I choose to do it that way. So there is a mental component when you get very, very close to passing these accounts that makes you want to just say, fuck it, let's get out. Let's just pass it. I've gone back and forth on how I want to go about that, and I just don't think that it's a good idea to just say, fuck it, I'm going to just lock it in and that's it, because that's not how I would trade normally anyway. Why trade differently when you're in the challenge phase versus the real phase. You know what I mean? I don't know. But that's when this happened. That's when this big drop happened, because June 20th was my massive day, my massive red day. And that was where we were really close, and boom, we got nailed. And I just took so many trades on that day and it just got completely unraveled. Secondarily, with the prop firms, I will tell you that I had the complaint about the 1 of 1 because they had the massive fucking fee on whatever, for whatever reason, $7 fee per lot. And I'm like, $7 per lot doesn't really make sense when, you can have a crypto that's 30 cents, and then you can have Bitcoin that's fucking $60,000. I'm going to buy a substantially less lots of Bitcoin and substantially more lots of the smaller crypto, but I'm going to pay a fuck ton more in fees on the smaller crypto versus Bitcoin. I understand it's more risky, yada, 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 but it's then why do you even offer that as an option to trade if you can't trade it? If I essentially enter a trade immediately and I'm immediately down $200 on a trade, say, well, what the fuck's the point? I might be looking for $100 risk to make 300, to make 200, make 150, but now I'm down 200 immediately. It's well, that doesn't make any sense, So I don't know what that was all about, but whatever. It is what it is. Second, on Arctic Funding, this account right here, they switched brokers at the end of the month, and they required you to sell out of all your positions to switch brokers. That's what they said. So they told me. At the time, I had 2 swing trade alerts go off, and there was a live stream when this happened for 2 positions that I could have entered on swings. The problem is that the next day I was going to have to close them out. So I was like, well, I can't trade them. So you are at their mercy when you trade them. I'm going to talk about this a lot. They are not the end goal, but they are a means to the end. If you can get funded, scale up to a larger account, make some money, pull it out, toss it into your own brokerage, the prop firm has done its job. And that's essentially the point of why I'm using them. I had high interest student loan debt that I was like, I don't want to be holding all this capital in my accounts that I could use to pay down my debt right now to get me out of that faster, so that I can be done with that and then start investing a lot of money if I wanted to, or building my own capital, which is the end goal. So that's why I'm using the prop firm. So, mental peace there. It's not as easy. It's not as clean as just trading, because there are these things you got to think about. There are the stupid fees. There's, oh, we're changing brokers today. Sorry, but not sorry. You have to sell. Oh, well, that sucks. I can't. No, you got to sell. That's it. So you're at their mercy. Let's dive into the reports. This is where the good stuff is at. Let us go to this month. No, not this month. Last month. Okay. So if we get into last month, here is the overview. I'm going to pop off the screen for a second so you can see it all. Biggest thing that I'll say, or here, total commissions, $339, fees, $175, and then swap fees was $66. So this is, well over $400. Actually, yeah, well over $400 in fees and commissions that I did pay. So if you were to say, well, if you traded on Robinhood or whatever, now of course they don't have futures and whatever on. If you were to trade on Webull or Robinhood, you can drastically drop down the commissions and fees here to a very minimal amount, if much at all. So that was an extra $400 or 400 and something dollars that does factor into this. So keep that in mind. But again, I factored in. It is what it is. This is the first time in a while that I had a largest loss be larger than my largest profit trade. Now, was that accidental on purpose? I think not. There's no. I think I did scale up this month. So on the 25K account, it was also. I should have mentioned this before. This was the time where I said, okay, it's time to scale up. I haven't been trading very nicely or very. I had been trading too big or too small on the 25K account for what I should be based on my sizing, and on the 10K account and stuff. And so I was like, okay, let's size it up, and it's a good time to do so, etc. Yada yada, whatever. And it just so happened we went into a pretty bad red streak. I think that there's a little bit of mental component there too. So that's the deal. Nothing super crazy there, but let's get into the other fun stuff. The trade duration is kind of cool because I thought this was interesting. I'm gonna stay off the screen for now. This was for intraday trades. So usually my 5-minute time frame trades. The 10 to 30 minute trades were pretty good, 30 to 1 hour. So within that 10 minutes to 1 hour is like the window that usually works pretty well. Outside of that, not so much. Why is that the case? Well, if I lose very quickly, that means I usually was wrong right away, which I like to be wrong right away. I hate being wrong across multiple hours. That's just kind of sucks. If I go to the instruments, here are my top 10. NVIDIA, I traded the most, and I made about $350. Bitcoin, I traded Bitcoin 5 times, and I was down $2. I was about break even on Bitcoin. If you look at my bottom 20, here's where it gets more interesting. Silver lost me 483. The OMG USD lost me 406. That was with the fees added in there as well. Gold lost me 227. US 30, the Dow lost me 225, and then you can go on from there. BNB lost me 211. That was a big swing trade. Just didn't work. What I want to pull up from this instrument, or what I want to say from this instrument list, is that I definitely did not do well with the metals, Bitcoin, cryptos in general, and futures this month, which all happen to be traded on the one-of-one accounts. Okay? Going forward, I am trading my futures, my metals, and my crypto all on these accounts. Any stock trades will be traded on the Arctic funding accounts. The plan is going to be to pass this hopefully soon. No rush. To pass this hopefully soon. And then what I'm going to do next is when the time is right, or when they have a good sale, or when I have a nice payout, whenever I want to, I'm going to buy a $200,000 account from them. I'm going to connect a trade copier. I'm going to trade the $10,000 account just as I've been trading it as normal. But I'm now going to copy that over to the $200,000 account. However long it takes to get funded. If we get funded there, great. Whatever happens, happens. We'll see. The plan is to size up massively on that account. Again, because we have a strategy, why not go all out on the strategy? And that's it. Simple as that. So that's the plan there. And stocks, I've done much better. If you notice the top 10, what do we have? What do they have all in common? Most of them have in common. NVIDIA, CRM, GM, Booking, this is the NASDAQ, Tesla, Google, CAT, BB. I mean, we make money, our money's being made on stocks, not on the futures, at least this month. That was one of the big takeaways. Okay. To setups. Bear flag, bull flags. I played one bull flag trend line that lost. And I played I played 7 failed breakdowns that didn't lose. I mean, we had a 28% win rate, and we actually were almost green on that, believe it or not. So it's not like that's that bad. But that's the extension off of my strategy, where if I see the strategy play out, volume sets up a certain way, I play the inverse of that only in certain conditions. Market has to be trending higher on the bigger time frames, and then the lower time frame has to be a failed breakdown, and then boom. Biggest takeaway though, 7 bear flag trades, and we lost 472. Now I think there's a big one on there that's a big loser, which was the OMG trade. So it really wasn't as bad as that. But either way, the market's been trending up, and I'm not surprised by that. Bull flags, we traded 30 bull flags, and we still lost on those. Showing you though, I think if you were to watch some of the trade recaps, that just some of the same setups that worked a month prior just didn't work. Simple as that. And there's something you can do about that. I wish you can do it. And I don't wish you can. There's something you can do. It is what it is. So not that bad at the end of the day across this. This is nothing super, super crazy. Here's where it gets more interesting. I'm going to go to custom tags, and I'm going to go to mistakes. Custom tags. This is where I love looking at this data because I track the time frames I trade on. I had 26 trades in the 5-minute time frame, which you'd say, man, that's a lot of trades. And yes, it is, because I'm spending more time watching it. It's making me, or it's costing me more time. So my hourly rate here is kind of skewed, because on the 1-day charts, I'm swing trading, dude. So on the 1 days, which by the way, the daily time frame had 3 trades, that made me about $400. How much time am I spending on watching those charts, entering, exiting? Not a lot. I would say maybe an hour or less across each of those trades. Right? That's with identifying it, entering, exiting, and then monitoring it from time to time. How much total time am I spending looking at that chart after I enter it? Or before, I guess, the trade sets up? I'd say maybe an hour total across the lifetime of those trades. Because it really doesn't require much. It's not much to do. Once you're in on the bigger picture swing, there's not much to do. These are swing trades on the daily time frame. And maybe $400. So it's like, oh, you're making like more than $100 an hour if you think about it that way. Huh. Interesting. Here, you made 171 on day trades, and you're like, oh, well, I took 26. It's probably multiple hours, many hours of my time. Inside of here, a little bit different, but we know that the 1 hour chart didn't work too well. 1 week chart was one trade. Actually, it was actually 2 trades. That didn't work great. And what else? 30-minute chart, But the daily chart and the 5-minute chart, which I've been more honed in on because I'm more intrigued about those time frames. I like them most, I think. Green, which is interesting. Despite all my excessive trading, the damage was not actually done on the 5-minute time frame, which you would think would be, but it wasn't. Okay, on to mistakes. FOMO, being impatient, not trading to system. Haven't had that happen in a while, but there were 2 trades that technically were not to my system. Interesting. If I got rid of those, would have saved me 115. If I didn't have the FOMO and the impatience, which I think these all stem from being so close to passing on the prop firms, but then not being there and then wanting to get it done, just to get it over with, to say I passed and then move on. I think that plays into it. So this was all a product, I believe, of the mental side of trading here, which unfortunately got to me. So to sum everything back up, too many trades. The win rate and average win-loss are okay. It's not terrible. When you have more winners than losers, and my winners are on average bigger, this number is going to be skewed to be much higher. So considering a terrible month, this number is not bad. At least it's above 1. Above 1.25 is great. But it's now a matter of just simply looking at the bigger time frames, making sure we're in alignment and in agreement, not trading a million times, and making sure that I'm using my time effectively, as in sticking to bigger time frames. And if I do that, I put myself in a much better position to win. Maybe not more often, but just make more than I lose. So we'll see what happens. The plan is going to be going forward is hopefully we get funded on this account this month, which then we can start pulling out profits, which will be fun. And then the plan will be from there to scale up to the other account. So I will say at some point soon, the numbers and the dollar amounts on stock trades on the recaps might get very large. They are going to be like 20 times the size that they used to be. So just be aware of that. And it's not going to be because that's actual money. It's just me going through the challenge phase and passing through the requirements on the bigger account. Because ultimately, you do the math and you talk about that and you say, okay, well, someone asked, or you can look at back at the year and go to year to date. I know this video is very, very long, but hopefully you're still here. And if you're still here, hopefully you're getting something out of it. That's the point. If not, it's for me. Look back at the year and say, okay, you're up $1,700, which you'd say, okay, that's kind of shit, right? I would agree. Like, it's not that much. But on a $200,000 account, let's say that I was 20xing my position size, right? So 20x times that number, 1,715. That's a $34,000 first half of the year, which puts you on pace to make about $70K on the year, which is substantially higher than the average US salary. Just for context. And why having that capital, I think, is very important. And that's why there's a benefit to the prop firms. You want to have it your own, I understand, but there's a benefit to that. So keep that in mind. The position sizing will be going up soon. I'm not sure when I'm going to buy the account. It's going to cost like $1,000 to buy it. So it is going to, it's a chunk of change. You got to shell out, but just keep that in mind. I'll leave a link to TradeZilla below like always. So far, July has been off to a good start, but that'll be that's coming up. The next trade recaps will have these trades on, and then we'll have a whole July recap at the end of the month. I'm hoping to keep it under 30 trades. Under 30 trades would be good. I think would be a good spot to be. And we shall see. Thanks so much for watching. I'll leave TradeZilla linked up below like always. And if you're still here, you're amazing. I hope the very best for you. Peace.